Airbnb horror stories. True scary stories. Our scary and horror stories are designed to send chills down your spine. Enjoy the spine-tingling stories thrill. Story number 1. Whispers in the Loft. When Alex booked the quaint loft overlooking the French countryside, the reviews raved about its serene atmosphere and the friendly host. On his first night, he was jarred awake by faint whispering. Figuring it was the wind or perhaps even a neighboring cottage, he shrugged it off. The next night, the whispering returned, but it was louder and sounded like it was coming from inside the room. Alex strained his ears, attempting to catch the words, "Stay away from the attic." The loft didn't have an attic, or at least none that Alex was aware of. Feeling uneasy, he decided to investigate the source of the sound. As he looked around the loft, he noticed a small hatch on the ceiling that he had initially mistaken for an aesthetic detail. Curiosity overriding his fear, Alex used a chair to reach the hatch. He pushed it open to reveal a dusty, old attic. Inside, he found old photographs, scattered toys, and a diary. The diary belonged to the host's great-grandmother. She wrote about her twin sister who disappeared in the attic, never to be found. The last entry chillingly read, "I hear her voice at night. She's calling for me." Alex left first thing in the morning, leaving behind the haunting whispers of a sorrowful twin. Story number 2. The Forgotten Room. Emma and Jake were excited about their weekend getaway in a historic mansion. When they arrived, they were mesmerized by its old-world charm. Their host gave them a brief tour, emphasizing that they were free to explore everywhere except for one room that remained locked. Late that night, Jake's curiosity got the better of him. Finding the key on top of a dusty bookshelf, he decided to see what was inside the forbidden room. As the door creaked open, a rush of cold air hit them. The room was perfectly preserved from a bygone era, with a doll sitting upright on a bed. Its eyes seemed to follow them. Suddenly, the door slammed shut behind them. Panic set in as they couldn't open it. Hours seemed to pass before they were finally freed by their worried host. He explained that the room belonged to his daughter who had tragically passed away and that sometimes she didn't like visitors. Story number 3. Echoing Laughter. Marie and her friends rented a beach house for a weekend of fun and relaxation. The house was beautiful, with a history of being a former children's summer camp. The first night, as they sat around the campfire, they heard the distant sound of children's laughter. Assuming it was from a neighboring property, they didn't think much of it. The next night, the laughter was closer, echoing from within their own house. Intrigued and a bit scared, they followed the sound to a locked basement door. As the laughter grew louder, they managed to unlock the door. Inside, they found relics from the summer camp, old toys, clothes, and journals. One journal was from a camp counselor detailing a tragic accident where several children drowned during a beach activity. The entries spoke of hearing the children's laughter late at night and the growing unease among the staff. Unable to sleep, Marie and her friends packed up and left before dawn, the eerie laughter of the lost children still echoing in their ears. Story number 4. The Shadowed Silhouette. Sarah booked an old farmhouse on Airbnb, nestled deep within a remote forest. The home was beautiful, but the complete absence of neighboring homes or lights added an eerie ambiance to the place. On her second night, Sarah noticed a shadowed silhouette of a man standing outside her window. Frozen in fear, she dialed the local authorities. The police arrived but found no traces of anyone. They advised her to lock all the doors and windows and call again if the man reappeared. The next night, the silhouette returned, but this time it was standing at a different window. Sarah realized, with dread, that the shadow wasn't outside, it was being cast from inside the house. She swiftly left the property, later learning that a recluse had lived in that farmhouse years before and was rumored to have never left. Story number 5. The Crying Mirror. For their honeymoon, Tom and Lisa booked a charming cottage in Italy. The decor was old-fashioned, with antique furniture and beautiful paintings. In their bedroom was a large ornate mirror that seemed out of place. On their first night, Lisa woke up to the sound of soft crying. She nudged Tom, who also heard it, but they couldn't find the source. The next night, the crying resumed. Tom noticed it was emanating from the mirror. Peering closely, they saw the faint image of a woman, dressed in old Italian attire, weeping. When they questioned their host, they were told the legend of a young woman who lived in the cottage centuries ago, waiting endlessly for her lover to return from war. She'd gaze into that very mirror daily, and it said her soul got trapped within it. Story number 6. The Always Vacant Room. Nina and her friends decided to stay at a beautiful villa overlooking the sea. The house had a reputation of always being available, no matter how busy the tourist season. They soon discovered why. The villa had a room with a door that was always cold to the touch. Despite the tropical heat, this particular room remained unnaturally chilly. Nina's friend, Claire, decided to sleep in that room. In the middle of the night, Claire screamed. Rushing to her side, they found her white as a sheet, pointing at the wall. There, a series of frosty handprints appeared, slowly fading. Claire claimed she felt hands grasping her in her sleep. The next morning, the host reluctantly shared the tale of a young man who had died in that room from hypothermia after being locked in there by mistake during a winter storm. Needless to say, the group checked out immediately, leaving the villa and its chilling secrets behind. Story number 7. The Dancing Shadows. Katie and Mark rented a cottage near an old, forgotten castle in Scotland. At night, they noticed shadows dancing on the walls of the cottage, even when there was no source of light to cast them. The shadows resembled people dancing in ballroom attire. Intrigued, they visited the castle the next day and learned about the grand balls that were once held there. Legend said that once a year, the spirits of the castle danced at midnight, celebrating a never-ending ball. That evening, Katie and Mark watched in awe as the shadows waltzed, twirled, and gracefully moved to silent music only they could hear. Story number 8. The Recording Room. Jared, a musician, was attracted to an Airbnb listing of a former recording studio. Hoping to find inspiration, he was eager to play in the soundproof recording room. However, when he played back his recordings, he heard a second voice accompanying his, a soft, ethereal singing that he hadn't noticed while playing. The host revealed that a famous singer had tragically died in that studio decades ago, and many believed her spirit still lingered, longing to join in any music created within those walls. Though slightly unnerved, Jared found solace in the thought of collaborating with a voice from the past. Story number 9. The Portrait's Gaze. Staying in an old English manor, Clara was fascinated by the portraits lining the hallways. One, in particular, depicted a stern-looking man with piercing eyes. No matter where she stood, his gaze seemed to follow. One evening, she dreamt of the man warning her to leave. The next day, she discovered the portrait had been of a previous lord of the manor, notorious for his jealousy and temper. Guests who slept in his room often felt his presence, displeased with the intrusion. Not wanting to overstay her welcome, Clara promptly departed, leaving the watchful eyes of the portrait behind. Story number 10. The Underground Chamber. While vacationing in Egypt, Max rented a traditional house. One day, he stumbled upon a hidden trap door that led to an underground chamber filled with hieroglyphics. Every night thereafter, he'd hear muffled chants rising from below. His host, upon hearing this, nervously advised Max not to enter the chamber after sundown. It was said to be an ancient ritual space, and disturbing it could anger the spirits. Not heeding the warning, Max ventured down one evening, only to be met with chilling silence and a suffocating darkness that seemed alive. He barely managed to escape, and the door to the chamber mysteriously sealed itself overnight. Story number 11. The Locked Greenhouse. Helen was attracted to a serene cottage with a beautiful garden. But one structure was off limits, an old, locked greenhouse. Out of curiosity, she peeked through the grimy windows and saw exotic, withered plants. At night, she'd hear soft humming and see a faint glow emanating from the greenhouse. The gardener told her about the previous owner, an avid botanist, who'd locked herself in the greenhouse with her dying plants during a particularly harsh winter. They all perished together, but many claimed they still saw her tending to her plants on cold winter nights. Story number 12. The Whistling Teapot Inn. Sophie was delighted to find an inn that seemed frozen in time, complete with old-world furnishings and a cozy atmosphere. However, every night, precisely at midnight, she heard the shrill whistle of a kettle boiling, despite no one being in the kitchen. When she mentioned this to the innkeeper, she was told about the original owner who would make tea at midnight without fail and had died in the inn. Some believed her ritual was so ingrained that it continued beyond her passing. Story number 13. The reflection-less mansion. Evan was drawn to a colonial mansion in Virginia, which boasted of untouched 18th-century decor. But he quickly noticed something odd. There were no mirrors in the entire mansion. When he inquired, the host brought him a small handheld mirror, the only one in the house. Legend said the original mistress of the house never cast a reflection, leading to rumors of her being a vampire or otherworldly creature. Out of fear, all mirrors were removed from the home. Evan laughed it off until one night when he saw the faint silhouette of a woman pass behind him in the mirror, yet when he turned around, no one was there. Eager to leave the mirror's mysteries behind, Evan checked out the very next day, with the chilling sensation of unseen eyes watching his every move. The end.